coming towards the end. We're 3/4 of the way through our teaching series called God of the Impossible. I've really enjoyed it. And if you remember, I kicked us off with a message that was called Explore. And I talked about how God's called us. Like, faith is like exploring. God's called us to be explorers. And exploring is going into the unfamiliar, the unknown, in order to learn about it. And I mentioned about the two spies that did that. And, that's what faith is all about. It's about going into an unfamiliar place, an uncertain, unknown place, and in order to learn about God. Like, is God our provider? Is he our healer? You learn that by stepping out in faith. And so I talked about that. Then Janine spoke a message about, hi Janine, Janine spoke a message about how to strengthen your faith. Leah went on to share a message about what does faith look like in the middle of crisis. Then I spoke last week, and I answered the question, what if, why doesn't God answer all my prayers? I answered that question last week. So if you missed any of those, I recommend you go back and watch them, because we're in this season where we're trying to build faith. Do you feel like your faith's been built recently? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, great. You sound, yeah? I think a faithful person like, yes, definitely. So I'm going to continue this series today. Next week we have a little bit of a break, and then we're going to finish the series off with a last message about signs and wonders. Next week is Mother's Day, which is why we're taking a week off. So we're going to celebrate the mums. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to have a speaker that I guarantee you've never heard before from this church. A woman of God will be sharing with us next week. So I'm looking forward to that. So come ready next week to have some fun and hear someone new. So that's exciting. Right, so I'm going to continue today with a message about faith. You ever done anything like on autopilot? Yeah? Usually like in the morning when you're driving somewhere, you just drive to work and you think, how did I get here? Usually for me, it's some kind of drive-through, and I think, how did I get here? I'm at KFC again. How did I get here? The other day, though, I was talking just yesterday, actually, me and Jared were going to the barber's, and I was talking to him about this idea. I was going to buy I get excited. It's a weekend, right? So I can have some treats, some chocolates and stuff. And I was explaining to him what I'm going to be buying for like that night. I was really excited about it yesterday. And then all of a sudden we were at Aldi. And Jared goes, why are we here? I went, I don't know. We're supposed to be going to the barber's. It was on the way, to be fair. Sometimes you just do stuff automatically. And one time I was walking my dog, and as we go into the fields where I take my dog to walk, there's like a big gate. And this gate's obviously there to let vehicles through if they want to do some work on the lane or whatever. And there to stop people from going through there if it's not for that. And next to it, there's like a squeeze stile. Do you know what I mean by that? So it's hard to get through. You can't get through on a bike, or you can't get through on a motorbike for sure. It's really just for people to walk through. And as you walk through it, you kind of have to go like that as you go through it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't go through it straight on, especially if you've got big shoulders. You can't. So I've tried it. Trust me, it hurts. I thought, I wonder if I can just get through that and just faff about. But no, you have to go through it like that. And so one day, I was walking, and the gate just disappeared. I don't know why it just disappeared, but it's never come back. And so I was walking Bernie and my dog, and so Bernie he walked straight through the squeeze style, because that's what we do every single day. And then I followed him, and I just went, through the squeeze style like this. But yet there's this massive gate, this massive space next to the squeeze style that I could go through, but I didn't, because I just did what I always do. Like, I had the opportunity for more space, had the opportunity for more freedom, had the opportunity for things to be a little bit easier, a bit more comfortable, a bit more nicer. But instead, I just did what I always did, and just went through the squeeze style like this. And this went on for days. Honestly, every morning I was like, why have I just done that? Well, it must have took about a week to get used to just walking through this open gate. But then on the flip side of that, like on the polar opposite, this week I've done something. I was a little bit scared of how this might pan out, right? So, and Kezzy's probably rolling her eyes now thinking, flipping it, I can't do anything without Dad mentioning it. Right, I don't know where she is, hiding somewhere. Oh, she's over there. And so I did the thing this week. I tried to do some plastering. I know. I've never plastered before. I have helped plasterers. I have helped people like Matt Henderson plaster and Steve Gray plaster, right? And those guys are ace. They're brilliant. They know exactly what they're doing. At the end of it, Matt Henderson, he kind of kisses it. He's like, oh, smooth, beautiful. And I've helped them. I've helped them mix the plaster. I've kind of like kept them like moving. So I've loaded the plaster up for them on their little pallet thing, and then they've carried on to try and make their job a little bit easier. But I've never actually done it myself. I slapped some plaster on once. It was awful, and then Matt had to go back over it again afterwards. And so I just thought to myself, I've been promising Kezia that I'd redo her bedroom for a while. And it was all wallpapered, and it was wallpapered for a reason. We moved into the house, we took a corner of the wallpaper off and went, nope. Nope, can't afford a plasterer. Nope, that's going back on again. We'll just paint the wallpaper. But the time has come. Been there 6 years with this wallpaper on the wall, and Kedge's like, please redo my room. And at Christmas, she got all excited. She bought, and for her present, she asked us to get her all these little things for this room. And she's been on Pinterest and got all these ideas about how a room should look like. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try. So Akash helped us as well. If Akash is here somewhere, I've seen him. Here he is on the camera. So Akash helped me. Leah helped a bit. So they're stripping the walls off, and there's water everywhere, and then it come time to plaster, and there's like holes where the plaster had fell off and the cracks and everything. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm going to do this. So they're loading me up. Akash is loading me up, and we're going for it. I'm going. And I'm looking and thinking, this is drying a lot quicker than what I thought it was going to dry. This is not going well. Like, Akash, quick! So he's piled it on. I'm like slapping it on the wall really quick. And I've got the whole wall done. I'm like out of breath. And I'm like, all right, you're supposed to wait for a minute and do another coat. I'm looking, going, we can't wait, Akash. It's drying. Quick, get us more. So I'm going over it. That first wall, I was absolutely shattered. We had to do it so quick. We're going, I can see some cracks, Akash. Like, quick. And we're going over and over and over and over it. Absolutely shattered. And there's 3 more walls to do. so that was the first day done. I'm like, I'm not doing any more. And so anyway, Kezia and Leah would continue stripping the walls off, and Akash, and I'm like, right, this is the next day now. I'm like, right, okay, we're going to give this another go. So I had to go on the second wall. And this second wall, it's not quite as big, but there's also another wall opposite. I'm thinking, I don't know, should I go for both? Can I do both? I don't know. I did a bit of research, spoke to Pete Smith, check what I was doing was right and everything. He told me what to do and everything, so I changed what I was doing. And so I have to go for it. So I said, Akash, mix up double the amount of plaster. So we got double the plaster. Right, I'm going to go for it. So I'm going. Right, okay, this is looking a bit better. Wait, no, it's drying. So quick. So, but it was drying a little bit slower. So I'm slapping it on, get it all on. I'm like, right, okay, second wall, slapping all that on, polish it on. I'm like, okay, looks at it. I thought, that's a bit smoother. That is a bit smoother. It does look a bit nicer, that, actually. It's not dried out as quick as what the other one did, and I had a bit more time. I thought, that's not bad, that, Luke. I ain't getting better there. I came to the final wall. I did the final wall on Friday, and this wall, it was the window wall, so a bit more space, a bit more finicky around the window. I thought, I'm going to give it a go. I was on my own this time, so I mixed the plaster up. I had a go at it, and I'd done everything that Pete Smith told me to do. I'm doing it. I'm going, it's not drying out as fast. I'm doing it, and I'm doing it. I think, I can take my time here. It's going well. Slapping it all on. This is great. I don't feel tired at all. I'm getting all the nooks and crannies. I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, I've done the whole, it's all on the wall now. Right, I'll leave it for a minute. Leave it for a minute. Oh, I'll have 10 minutes break. So I sat and I thought, what do I do now? So I'm sitting around and waiting for it to dry. Eventually it dries off and I'm right, okay, put another coat on, do it all again. Oh, it went quite well. I'll have 10 minutes, 15 minutes, let it dry a bit more. Let it dry. I'm going to polish it. Polished it all up. Looking like, that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. That's the best wall yet. I can physically see from that wall to these walls to that wall how I've improved. It's visible. I'm like, that's really cool. I'm like, this is great. I went from being like worried that I was going to be dangerous with this plaster to being like, actually, I could do this. I could do Jared and Phoebe's bedrooms too. I'm having a break first before I get on to them. But the point I'm making is that I started with, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to give it a go. And I went to, actually, I'm doing it. I grew. I changed. I became more capable than I was before. My world has grown. It's expanded. My capabilities have expanded. Whereas when I'm walking through that squeeze style, I could have had all the space and I could have had the room and I could have had the better way of doing things, but I didn't. I kept choosing to walk through the squeeze style. And I think that's a little bit like life and a little bit like faith. I don't want to live my life like I'm walking through a squeeze style. Like not realizing that there's more out there. I want to go through life discovering what's possible. Recently, as I've been preparing for messages, I've been trying to think, what's the question that I'm trying to answer in my preachers that I'm delivering. And I think what I'm trying to answer today is there more out there than just what's in my world? You see, faith can be used for, like, God, I need your help. God, I'm not well. Would you heal me? God, I need some money. Would you give me some money? That's faith. Like, if you're praying and asking for those things, it's faith, right? But actually, I think that's a little bit like squeeze-style faith. It's all around me. But I think there's a different kind of faith. There's a faith that will take you beyond that. There's a faith that takes you beyond surviving. There's a faith that takes you beyond getting through the mess. There's a faith that takes you beyond getting through the chaos in life. That's not just there to fix the stuff in your life. But there's a faith that will take you beyond that. Yes. Like a faith to say, what can we do? What could we accomplish? What might we be able to build if we just put our faith in God? What would God do if we stepped out in faith? And that's the kind of faith that I want to have. The kind of faith that says, I'm going to give a go at plastering that wall. I'm going to give a go at doing that thing and see what God does. Because he might just do it. And if he does it, how incredible would that be? I know last week when I spoke about how when we ask God, the question I was answering last week was, why doesn't God give me everything I ask him for? Right? We looked at the verses that kind of lead us to believe that. And I talked about how God always answers, but sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no, sometimes it's a maybe. And I think that's really, really a good mindset to have. Sometimes God's saying no because it's in our best interest. Sometimes God's saying not yet because he's got a better timing. Sometimes God says yes, which is fantastic. We often associate faith with the yeses, don't we? Because that's what we're looking for. That's like how we can quantify the win. What I've kind of come to accept is that, yes, sometimes God will give a yes, sometimes God will give a no, sometimes God will give a not yet. If I believe for more, if I ask God for more, if I trust him for more, yes, there will be more no's at times, and there will be more not yets. But you know what? There'll also be a lot more yeses. There'll also be a lot more times when God goes, yeah, I will do that. Yes, now is the time to heal you. Yes, now is the time to do that thing. And so I want to be the person who believes big. I want to have faith that is a faith that will take me beyond just looking at myself and believe for more. In Ephesians 3 verse 2, it says this, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than we can hope, we can ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. That verse blows my mind, literally, because what it's saying is, God is able, like whatever you can think, whatever you can imagine, the craziest thing you can think of, the biggest thing you can ask God for, God is immeasurably more powerful to do it. That he can do things that we, in our limited brains, cannot even imagine. That's how powerful it is. And then he goes on to say that according to that power, that is at work within us. That immeasurable, mind-blowing power that God has is at work within us. That's what that verse is talking about. In Genesis 15, Abraham is saying to God, God, as if you can even give me one descendant. I'm past it. I can't, me and my wife, we can't have children at the age that we are now. God, as if you can even give me one descendant. And God, in chapter 15, verse 5, says this. God takes him outside and he says, look up at the sky and count the stars, if you indeed can count them. Then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Abraham's like, as if he can give me even one God, one descendant. And God's like, come here, have a look at all these stars. Can you even count them? That's how many your descendants are going to be. That's what I'm going to do. That's the power that I'm playing with Abraham. In Exodus 36, we've got the story of how God's commissioned the Israelites through Moses to build a tabernacle, a place for him to dwell on earth. And so what they do is they start gathering all the resources, and all the people start bringing in to the people who are doing the work all the things like gold and silver and all the items they've got and everything that they may have. And they bring it all in, right? And then this is what happens. This is Exodus 36 verses 4 to 5. The skilled workers who were doing all the work on the sanctuary left what they were doing and said to Moses, so they put the tools down and said to Moses, the people are bringing more than enough for doing the work the Lord commanded to be done. In other words, God gave them a task to do. He says, get involved, guys. Come on. How can you get involved in this? Bring your gold, bring your silver in. And what happened? The workers had to say, whoa. They put the tools down and say, stop. We've already got more than enough. This is what I'm believing for today in the vision offering. As we gather together and do something together and say, God, we're believing that you're going to do something. I'm believing that God's going to be like, whoa, there is now more than enough. It won't be we've just got enough, or we've got enough if we save up for a bit longer. No, I believe at the end we're going to say, we've got more than enough. Because I believe we serve a God that is more than enough. So I want faith that will go beyond. Faith that believes for more. Here's a couple of things that I think is helpful with getting our mindsets right. And when I was growing up, I was the fastest in my year. The fastest. Well, Mark? You remember me then, don't you? Yeah? I was the fastest. And I was even faster than a lot of the year above me. And so people wanted to race me because they wanted to beat. I was the one to beat. And what my friends used to do, though, when they realised they couldn't beat me, Rini, you remember me being that fast? There you go. Rini remembers me, Mark, even if you don't. I was like grease lightning fast. Okay. And so what they used to do is they used to say, Luke, I want to race, but I want you to start back here. You start here, and we'll start here, and we'll have a race. And I was like, bring it on. And so we race, I'd still win. I'd still win. Well, mainly because sometimes they'd be like, Luke, you stand over here. I'd be like, right back here somewhere. And I'd be like, no, it's too far, guys. Come on, give me a chance. So I never used to race them. It was unfair. That's why I always won. But the point I'm making is, let me have it, okay? I'm not fast anymore. Let me have it, okay? But the point I'm making is that I still, even though I was a bit further back than them, I still was able to beat them often, always. And the point I'm making is it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters where God's taking you. It doesn't matter where you start. Many of you, this is a mindset you need to break. I'm not good enough. I've not got enough faith. I've got a messed up past. I'm not like so-and-so. It's not about where you start. It's about where God's taking you. If you get that right, then everything else will fall into place. I was reading this week. It came to mind Rahab. Rahab's an interesting character in the Bible. You find her in Joshua 2. Rahab was a prostitute. She had not lived a life that would have been encouraged from the Bible. She wasn't even an Israelite. She's in Jericho. The Israelites are about to attack Jericho because God promised them the promised land. Because the people live there not very good. And Rahab, she protects and looks after the two spies, and she asks them to make an agreement and says, will you look after me? Will you make sure that I don't die when you come and attack and everyone else gets killed and blah, blah, blah? And would you rescue me? And so they said, yeah. That's what happens. He starts walking around the city, it falls down, and they're prayer walking. There are eyes walking around Jericho, and the walls fall down. They take the city, but they spare Rahab and her family. Rahab then goes on to marry someone. It's not actually in that part of the story. You find out later on when you read in Matthew. In Matthew 1, verse 5, you'll see Rahab mentioned again there. Matthew 1 is a long list of people in the Bible, people that were in the line of Jesus. In other words, it's Jesus' father and their 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 father and father. And occasionally, a mother is mentioned. And in verse 5, it says this. Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Rahab, the prostitute. Rahab, the lady who wasn't even an Israelite, who got brought into Israel, actually was in Jesus' birth line. She gave birth to the person who 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 gave birth to Jesus. Isn't that incredible? Not only that, but she's actually listed in Hebrews 11, the chapter of that's known as the faith chapter. She's listed there as a woman of faith. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters where God's taking you. The other thing is, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to do this fast. The other thing is, you've heard me tell this before anyway, so I'll just skim over it. But there was a time when I was doing youth ministry, and we were at another church's youth ministry, and we were just like coming together for an event, and I was there, and my background is production in the church, and so I used to run all the production teams and everything before James took over and made a right mess of it all. And it's a joke. And I was stood there, and there's this light, and it's going crazy on the stage, this stage light, absolutely mental. I'm like, flipping heck, what are they playing at? Why has someone not sorted that light out? Ridiculous. What do they think they're doing? And I was like, in my mind, I was getting more and more worked up. I was upset about this light, and I was criticizing them. And God challenged me. And he said to me, how can you expect me to bless you and bless what your church is doing if you won't bless other churches? You're going to sit here and criticize. And I was challenged, and so I spent the rest of the service, the rest of the worship time, praying and repenting to God and praying for this church, and God bless them. And then they sent an offering ball around, and I was like, well, God, okay, God, I'll put some money in. Maybe I could buy a new light. And so I was like, oh my God, I've got a fiver. I took a fiver in. And I made a commitment, actually, at that moment in time, that whenever I went to a church, like symbolically, I would chuck a fiver in. Just because, to show God that my heart towards them was that they'd be blessed. Because I wanted God to bless us. Anyway, fast forward then, a couple of years, I'm at this church, to the church, and all their lighting equipment's all nice. They don't need any money. They're doing good. And God's like, what are you going to put in the offering today? I'm like, I'll put my fiver in, don't worry, God. I'm not forgotten. I'll put my fiver in. And God's like, okay, how much are you believing me for now? And I felt challenged. Now, at the time, it was early days for us. The church wasn't in a good financial place, and I had not been paid properly for a while, and we were broke. I had £50 in the bank that probably needed it for food, actually, and I had a wife who would kill me if I spent any of it. But I felt challenged. I said, okay, God, I want to believe you entirely. I want to give you everything. And so I put the £50 in, brought my bank balance down to zero. And about a couple of weeks, within a week or two later, someone anonymously gave us £500. And it helped pay the bills. And I was like, wow, £500. God's like, yeah. But how much more have I given you than what you gave me? Like, 50, 500, like times 10, isn't it? Like, yeah. And how much more did you put in compared to what you normally put in? It's like, well, £5.50. God's like, you can't outgive me. You can't outgive me. The second kind of mindset that will help us with faith that goes beyond is have a mindset of sowing. Being people that are willing to sow. I'm not talking about money now. That was just part of my illustration. I'm talking about everything. What are you investing in? What are you sowing into? At the moment, Jared, he's trying to learn Hungarian. Right? It's Akos's bad influence on him. And so Jared's downloaded an app. And every day, he's learning like a new Hungarian word on this app. And he's sowing. He's investing in something. Every day he's going to get more and more Hungarian. Be asking for goulash next or something. He's investing himself into something. He's sowing into something. Kezi, she really wants to go on the next mission trip we do to Jafubu. And so we haven't even announced a date for a new mission trip, but Kezi is that excited about going. She's saving up now. She's putting money to one side. She's investing in, she's sowing into something. If you want to be the type of person who has faith to go beyond where you are, be a person that sows, that invests into something, that sows a seed. In Genesis, there's a story of Isaac in Genesis. Isaac is looking for space. He's looking for somewhere to dwell. And he's in the middle of a famine. So there's no food around. And he's going around and he's digging wells. And he's looking for water. And he finds some. Like, yeah. And then these guys come along and they push him out. They say, no, you can't have it. It's ours, this. Bullies him out of the way. So he goes on to somewhere else and he digs another well. Same thing happens. He goes to another place, he digs another well. Same thing happens. Eventually, though, he says, God, shall I just go back to where I came from? And God's like, no. I'm giving this land to you and your descendants. He was in the promised land. And so Isaac says, okay, I'll stay. As he says that, a servant runs in. We found another well. And so they've got water. And this time, no one challenges them on it. And so they stay there. And in Genesis 26, verse 2, it says this: Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. If you want to be someone who has faith to go beyond, sow seed, invest in something, and believe that God will take that investment and multiply it into something far beyond what it could have been with just your little bit of seed. That's actually what the vision offering today is all about. Investing. The third thing, I'll just be quick about this, although this is my longest point. I was in an airport once, and you have these travelators. It's basically like gladiators, but flat. Yeah? And you can stand them or you can walk along them. So I'm on this travelator, and as I'm going along, there's these signs that say, face the way you're traveling. Which is ironic, because I was facing the wrong way, I wouldn't be able to read them. But anyway, so we're going along on this travelator, and I had to laugh to myself, because I thought, how many people were facing the wrong way and got to the end and fell off, right? Before someone said, we need to put some signs up. It must have happened at some point, right? But it's good advice. Facing the right way is good advice, right? Now, Jesus demonstrates what I mean by this in Mark 5, verse 38 to 42. This is where a guy, Jairus, has come and said to Jesus, I need you to come, my daughter's dying. He's a synagogue leader. On the way, Jesus gets a bit delayed with the woman with the issue of blood, and then he gets back onto track. But as he's about to get back on track, one of the servants come and say to the synagogue leader, don't bother the teacher, don't bother Jesus, because your daughter's dead. She's died. And Jesus says, oh, don't worry, we're still going to go. It says that when they came, this is verse 38, Mark 5, when they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. In Jewish custom, I believe, when someone died, they literally had people to come and cry. Wail, it'd be professional wailers, yeah. I mean, that's a term I've named other people, to be fair. But professional wailers, professional criers, right? They would come, and I guess the point was to let everyone know. And the point was to create a sad scene. So it was like, look how tragic this is. And so they'd already got these people, they'd come straight over and they're crying loudly and wailing. It says, and Jesus went in and said to them, why all this commotion and wailing like he didn't know? The child is not dead, but asleep. But they laughed at him. So after he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said, Talitha Kayum, which means, little girl, I say to you, get up. And immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. Jesus shows up. There's all these people there crying and wailing. What does he do? Puts them out. In other words, he's like, you're facing the wrong way. And you're setting the tone for this whole thing. And actually, you're wrong. Because this is what's going to happen. And he kicks them all out. If we don't want to be people of faith that goes beyond, we've got to face the right way. We've got to kick out of our minds all the thinking that's negative, all the lies of the enemy that he'll tell us. We've got to kick it all out and just keep facing the right way. Keep facing towards the way that we're going. I'll give you a few quick things of how to do that. 1, speak like it's already been given. Proverbs 18 verse 22 says the tongue has the power of life and death. Speak like it's already happened. Don't live in denial. Don't be like, I'm healed, and your arm's fallen off. Right? Don't live in denial. Don't be like, I've got this lump, but I'm not going to go to doctors because don't do that. That's probably not wise, right? But what I'm saying is, you can say, God is going to heal me. I'm believing God to heal me. I'm believing for his healing. I'm believing, even when it looks worse than when it first started, I'm still believing for God's healing. I'm still facing the right way. Our tongue has the power of life and death. Praise him like he's already answered. That's a great way of facing towards the way you're going. Psalm 35 verse 28, my tongue will proclaim your righteousness and your praises all day long. And the last way you can face the way you're going is give like it's not yours. In Proverbs 11, this is the Message translation. It's actually on the wall back there. Verses 24 and 25. The world of the generous gets larger and larger. And the world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller. The one who blesses others is abundantly blessed. And those who help others are helped. If you want faith that will take you beyond, give like it's not yours. Because it's not. It's all God's anyway, right? Amen. Do you want a faith that goes beyond? The band up. I was really encouraged by my daily reading this week, Acts 16 verse 5. Just as we're in this season when we're talking about faith, it says, so the churches were strengthened in faith. That's what we're doing. We're strengthening ourselves in faith at the moment. The churches were strengthened in faith and grew daily in numbers. That excites me. It excites me to think, what's God going to do? How many people are going to come and find life because we're strengthening our faith? That's what this is all about. The overflow room, the upstairs, everything. It's not about building a big empire. It's about seeing people come to know Jesus, their lives changed, their past left behind, their hurts healed, their chains cast off, them set free. That's what it's all about. So let's strengthen our faith. Let's believe that God is going to grow us in numbers as we strengthen our faith. Let's believe that God's going to do something powerful because he is. Let's stand to our feet. Pray. So here's what we're going to do. During this last song, the first part of it, we're going to pass the baskets round. And this is specifically for the vision offering. Whatever goes in that basket will be counted as part of your donation for the vision offering. I want to stress again, if you have got financial issues, do not put yourself in debt. Do not give because you feel pressured. But if you today are excited about what God's doing in this place, if you want to be a contributor to that, and if you've got a joyful heart about it, then I want to encourage you to give. Maybe you've not thought about it until now, that's fine. Take a moment. Maybe you're not in a position right now to be able to give, but maybe in a month's time, or even maybe 2 months' time, maybe like 10 years' time, in the near future, you might think, well, I know I've got some money coming in, I know I can give at that point, but I can't give right now. That's okay too. We would love to know, because we'd love to know what we've done together, right? We want to know what the total is. So on your chairs, there is an envelope. The envelope is used for any payment you're making now. You can pay by card, pay by cash, pay by check, whatever else you can think of, right? You can do that. There's a piece of paper on your chair as well, though. And that piece of paper is for everyone who is thinking down the line, I know in a month's time or 2 months' time, I'll have some money that I know I can give it. And you can just jot on there your name. So I, so-and-so, Joe Bloggs, pledge to give this amount by this date. And if you do that, we'll count that as part of our offering. When we tell you next week how much money has come in, we'll tell you that will be included in that total. I also want to take this moment as well to encourage you about something we've not mentioned for a while, and that's gift aid. You could gift aid your donations, whether it's to the vision offering or just generally donating. What that does is, you probably all know this already, what it does is any money that you give to us that you've paid tax on, the government will give that tax back to us. Why give the government your money when you can give it to us? Right? So if you have registered as a gift aider already, then every gift that comes in, as long as we know it's from you, we automatically gift aid that. If you haven't yet, you can also use the envelope to sign up for to gift aid. And if you do that, then right from this moment on, we can claim the tax back on those donations. I think it's 28 pence for every pound. That's pretty amazing. You think about it, if you give £100, that's 28 pounds more. Nearly a third more. It's over a quarter. You're making your donation go over a quarter more by doing that. Why wouldn't you, eh? So take a moment to do that as well. Consider that. It'd be fantastic. I'm going to pray. I'm just waffling a bit so I can see people are kind of like thinking and writing and stuff. I'm going to pray. And then we're going to sing this song and we're going to do the offering. And then once that's done, Brad's going to come up and give some more direction. Let's pray. God, we thank you because you are a God who is looking out for our needs. You're a God who wants to bless us and you want to heal us and you want to provide for us and all that, Lord. But today, as we've been talking about faith, we want to shift our focus so that we're not just believing you to take care of our problems, but we're people that's building something bigger than ourselves. We're people that are investing in something. We want to have faith to believe you for more. Faith to believe you to finish this building. Faith to believe you for miraculous provision. Faith to believe you for all the things that we as a community of people are coming together and coming around to do. Whatever this offering is, we're trusting you, God, that you'll take it, you'll multiply it, and you'll do what you want to do with it. We know, Father, that we've already won. That whatever happens in this life, we've already won. But Father, right now, we want to be people who are reaching for those yeses. We'll trust you in the no, we'll trust you in the not yet, but we're reaching for the yeses. And today, Father, I want today to be a yes day. a yes and amen day. Lord, I pray for every single person who is giving today. I want to pray especially for those people who are giving sacrificially, who are giving something maybe that hurts them a little bit. I just pray, Father, you will bless them abundantly. That you'll give them back like how you gave Isaac 100-fold back for how he sowed in that land. Lord, I pray that as we're sowing into your kingdom, you'll give back 100-fold to those people. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen.